It's Money all over again, and I'm going to continue with my series called Teaching Moments. This will be teaching moment number 6. I think it's important that we, again, start each week off with the right frame of mind, the right focus on what we're trying to accomplish here at Ridgepoint Medical Pharmacy. So, I'm going to try to make it a tradition, like I said, every Monday morning to have something for us to kind of focus on, maybe something new, maybe something that I present today will resonate with you personally, kind of something that maybe will stick with you a little bit more than maybe some of the things I've said in the past that will help you in guiding you towards being more successful, not only here at Ridgepoint but also personally. Let me give you an example. This weekend, Super Bowl weekend, right? And I'm still in phase 1 of my weight loss program. I could have chosen a long time ago to have moved on to phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, but I set a goal. I kept having to lower it and lowering it to the point now where my goal is to reach 190 pounds. Okay, that'll be 78 total pounds that I would have lost in this program. Our original goal was 40. But that was my choice. Those are my sacrifices that I decided to make in order for me to feel like I'm on the road towards a greater meaning for myself, which is not only looking better, feeling better, but actually it's given me the strength of mind that I can accomplish something. And that's something that I wanted to kind of mention today. And I don't want people to raise their hands because I'm going to ask you another question. Just kind of raise your hand, internally, mentally. And that is, for those of you that are on a weight loss strategy right now for yourselves, and there's a few of you here in this room that I know have already kind of committed to losing weight. But I'm asking you a question. Was the Super Bowl weekend more important to you to indulge in either having a few drinks or having some extra food or chips or dips, or was your strategy for weight loss more important? And why do I ask that question? Because if you cheated this weekend, if you didn't commit to sticking to your strategy, that's why a lot of times we fail. Because you let other things be more important than the very things you say that are important to you. If weight loss is really, really important to you, you would have stuck it out this weekend like I did. I didn't cheat. I kept to my program. As much as I wanted to have fajitas and dips and chips and all the great salsas that people make for Super Bowl, I said no to every single one of them. So you guys have to kind of sometimes put into focus. When you tell yourself something's important and then you don't follow through, maybe it's because you need to reprioritize how important that really is for you. And when you face somebody's temptations or your own internal temptations, then you have to stop and ask yourself, what's really more important? Me having that taco this morning that was very, very delicious, or sacrificing that taco so that I can reach my goal of losing 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, or whatever your goal is. But I'm bringing this up as an example of where we stumble as individuals on some of the things that we know are important. I know everyone here who has children want to have a positive impact on the kids that we're raising. And oftentimes we struggle with how to say the right things, to do the right things, making the right decisions. And when we do not make all the right decisions, how do we handle that failure? Do we get just upset and frustrated, or do we try to gain some knowledge from that mistake and try not to have that happen again in the future? Do we reflect back on our pasts and see what we could do differently in order to have that child that maybe we're struggling with, or a situation with multiple children in terms of encouraging them to do well in school? What are we doing? What sacrifices are you as parents making to help your children succeed? How important is your child's success to you? If it's very important, which I'm sure it is, then you've got to occasionally stop and think, what am I as a parent doing to help my child? Just something for you to think about. Not asking you to act on it, I'm asking you to think about it. Because a lot of times we set certain goals, just like with the weight loss, And we let a lot of little distractions stop us from accomplishing that goal. And we have to stop and say, okay, why am I not accomplishing the things that I want? It's the little interactions that we're having, you know, with people that sometimes, the distractors I call them, that come into our lives, who obviously don't have the same goals you do, but their goal to have a great time during Super Bowl Sunday interfered with your goal to lose weight. Because we allowed their influence to affect our strategies. I'm going to read you a little story here because I think it's important. And I don't normally like to read stories, but it really hit home with me this weekend. And again, I read, guys. A lot of the success that I've attained over the years isn't just simply because Carlos is this brilliant person. It's because I've read and I've learned from others. Okay? Now, if I had somebody mentoring me as a life coach who came to me and brought me all this information already nicely condensed and presented to me without having to read, that would be really nice. But I'm having to make sacrifices, you know, on weekends and evenings and in mornings, reading, so that I can gain more knowledge. Why? So that I can share that with my staff. Sacrifice I'm making, I'm doing the hard work of doing all this reading and putting that into my mind, and so I can share it with you guys. That's me giving to you guys. Apart from everything else that I might do for you, I want to give, and I'm sharing that with you so I can instill upon you some of the things that I'm doing myself as an owner. That it's important. Johnny, go ahead and take care of that person. At the end of your life, will you want to know if you really lived your life fully? Your life too, not just the hopes and dreams of your parents or your teachers or your peers or your spouse, but did you live your life for yourself? You will measure yourself to see if you were vibrant and cheerful and present and alive enough. You'll want to know if you took enough risks and played hard enough and dreamed big enough and fought valiantly enough to achieve your potential. You'll want to know so much that it will ache in your bones. So at the end of your life, you'll be asking yourselves this question: did I really live? You will surely assess whether you cared enough, gave those around you enough attention and appreciation. You will ache to know who will miss you and whom you will miss. You will see an epic movie, at least I did, of the times in your life when you were surrounded by love and friendship. You will question how open you were with your feelings, and your heart will demand, did I love? Finally, in our last moments, before the light has left you, a stirring deep in your body, and in the forefront of your mind, you will wonder if there was a purpose to it all. You will question whether you lived a good life. You'll want to know and sense and believe that you made a difference before you leave this world. Your soul will ask directly and loudly, did I matter? When I shared these three questions with friends, to my dismay, many seemed interested but not transformed. But a few of them found these questions profound and encouraged me to talk more about my story and of my accident. The truth is, I was afraid to. Deep down, I wanted to shout out all this from the rooftops. I wanted to focus people on what I thought was important. I dreamed about changing people's lives with this message, but when I awoke each morning, I had no idea how to bring the dream into the daylight. This was by the author Brendan Burchard. These are the type of profound, deep thoughts that books can bring to ourselves. Things that other people have asked themselves in their struggles to succeed. This guy now makes millions of dollars a year. I'm not anywhere close to what this guy makes. But if somebody today were to say, would you like an extra $1,000 in your bank account? An extra $10,000 in your checking account? I'm sure all of us would say yes. The big question is, how do I get that extra $1,000? How do I get that extra $10,000 in my checking account? It comes from knowledge, it comes from competency, and it comes from having a strategy in life. That $1,000 is not going to get into your checking account by itself, much less the $10,000. So what are you all doing individually in your own respective lives so that you have that extra $1,000 in the checking account? Whether it's maybe saving money, okay, or it's earning more money. One of the two. If it's both, great. But the reason why I'm having these teaching moments is so that you all can learn the skills, the mindsets, the strategies, so that you can achieve a greater level of success than you currently have. I'm not the most brilliant guy in the world. I don't make the most money. But what I do know is I'm trying to teach you enough of what I have learned so that you can take the little steps that you need to take each day at a time so that you can acquire the skills so that extra $1,000 will someday be in your checking account. Okay? It comes from sacrifice. That's why I told you in the last teaching moment, we've got to make sacrifices today in order for us to gain that reward tomorrow. So with that, I leave you with those thoughts. Let's continue to work hard and let's prosper together.